The December winter winds are biting, even in the midst of harsh military training. At a remote military camp, the trainees, including Kim Taehyung and Jeon Jungkook, went through a routine full of discipline. Although accustomed to the strict schedule and harsh environment, the day felt different. Taehyung's usually cheerful face looked gloomy and full of sadness that was hard to hide. Jungkook, who shared the barracks with Taehyung, realized something was wrong early in the morning. His usually feisty friend looked dazed during morning roll call. When they were given a short break, Jungkook approached Taehyung, who was sitting in a corner, looking out at the horizon with vacant eyes. "Hyung, are you okay?" asked Jungkook in a soft voice, trying to open a conversation. Taehyung didn't answer right away. He took a deep breath before saying softly, "Tanny? She's gone." The words were simple but held great emotional weight. Jungkook was silent for a moment, trying to digest what he had just heard. He knew how important Yeontan was to Taehyung. The little dog was not just a pet, but a loyal friend who was always there for Taehyung, even in times of trouble. Jungkook placed his hand on Taehyung's shoulder, giving a warm touch of support. "I'm sorry, Hyung," he said softly. "I know how much you loved him." Taehyung nodded, his eyes starting to turn red. "She's been with me for over 8 years. Whenever I come home, she's always waiting for me with a smile and a wagging tail. Now, the house will feel empty without her." Jungkook listened intently, letting Taehyung vent his feelings. In the rule-filled world of the military, moments like this were a rare opportunity to show their human side. Later that evening, after training was over, Jungkook decided to do something to cheer Taehyung up. He went to the small recreation room in the camp, where they used to write letters or read books. With a simple writing utensil he found, Jungkook began to draw a sketch of Yeontan based on the photo Taehyung had shown him. When the sketch was finished, Jungkook returned to the barracks and handed it to Taehyung. "This is for you, Hyung. I know it can't replace Tanny, but I hope it can remind you of all the good memories with her." Taehyung took the sketch with trembling hands. The drawing was simple but full of meaning. Jungkook managed to capture Yeontan's signature smile, something that made Taehyung smile a little in the midst of his sadness. "Thank you, Jungkook-ah," Taehyung said hoarsely. "You always know how to make me feel better." In the days that followed, Jungkook continued to show Taehyung attention in small ways. He made sure Taehyung ate well, talked to him in between training, and sometimes told silly jokes to lighten the mood. That night, a cold wind gently swept through the quiet military camp. Only the sound of crickets and the gentle roar of the wind accompanied the atmosphere. Outside the barracks, Taehyung and Jungkook sat side by side on a simple wooden bench, wrapped in thick military jackets. The night sky was cloudless, dotted with thousands of stars that sparkled like tiny diamonds in the black expanse. Taehyung gazed up, his mind drifting far away. Each star reminded him of Yeontan, his little dog who always brought light to his days, just like the stars that illuminated the dark night. But now, the stars seemed farther away, as if symbolizing the distance between him and Yeontan. "Hyung, you know what?" Jungkook broke the silence with his soft voice, drawing Taehyung's attention. "I've heard that those we love don't really leave. They live on in our hearts, in the memories we share with them." Taehyung turned his head, his wet eyes looking at Jungkook, who spoke with sincerity. "Yeontan must be happy to see you continue to be strong here." Jungkook continued with a faint smile. He looked up at the sky for a moment, as if trying to find a star that might represent Yeontan. Taehyung let out a long breath, trying to ease the weight in his chest. "You know, Jungkook-ah, whenever I come home from a grueling schedule, Tanny is always the first to greet me at the door. Her barking, her fast-moving tail, it all makes me feel unconditionally loved. Now, I feel like there's an irreplaceable void." Jungkook nodded slowly, understanding his friend's feelings. "I can see how much love you gave her, Hyung, and I'm sure, as long as she's with you, she feels the same, that you're her world." Taehyung smiled a little, though his tears started to flow. He wiped his cheeks quickly, feeling relieved to be able to talk about his loss. "Sometimes I wonder, did I do my best for her? Does he feel loved enough?" Jungkook looked at Taehyung sternly, placing a hand on his shoulder. Hyung, even I, who only sees you guys from the outside, knows how much you love Yeontan. She's got a better life than a lot of dogs out there, and I'm sure she knows it. Every care you give, every little moment you share, it's a real proof of love. Taehyung was silent for a moment, absorbing Jungkook's words. He knew Jungkook wasn't just speaking to comfort him, but also because Jungkook truly understood the special relationship between him and Yeontan. Sometimes, I feel guilty for not being by her side at the last moment, Taehyung said quietly, his voice hoarse. I was here, doing my duty, while she left without me being able to say goodbye. Jungkook let out a long breath, trying to choose the right words. I can't imagine how hard it must be, Hyung, but I believe Yeontan knew you loved her, even in her last moments. Love doesn't always have to be expressed with presence, but with all the memories you've built with her. And I'm sure she left peacefully because she knew you would always keep her in your heart. Taehyung looked up at the sky again, his eyes calmer this time. You're right, Tanny was always my little light, and I must learn to remember her with happiness, not just sadness. Jungkook smiled, happy to see his friends starting to find peace. You know, Hyung, whenever you see the brightest star in the sky, just pretend it's Tanny. She watches over you, makes sure you're okay, and continues to be the star that lights your path. The two of them sat in silence, enjoying the cold but emotionally warm night. Taehyung felt the heaviness in his heart begin to ease a little, thanks to Jungkook's presence, who not only listened, but also truly understood. That night became one of Taehyung's most meaningful moments during his military training, as he realized that support from friends is an invaluable gift, especially in times of great loss. The stars in the sky continued to glitter, as if witnessing a warm friendship in the middle of a silent night. And in Taehyung's heart, the memories of Yeontan no longer felt like a painful wound, but like a gentle light that would always accompany his steps forward. The words were simple, but full of sincerity. Taehyung felt a warmth that was hard to explain. Jungkook's support made him feel that he was not alone in facing this loss. To Taehyung, Yeontan would always be a part of his life. And in the midst of all the sadness, he realized that the love and support of those around him was what kept him moving forward.